Can I share with you the tiger who came to tea? You may have heard of this as a child. So I have a teaching story for Awaken the Psychic Within, because one of my members recently shared something that on the surface seemed simple. You see, her young son had been reading The Tiger Who Came to Tea to his sister, and it's a children's story about a tiger who arrives uninvited and eats everything on the table. Every crumb, every drop. And as she spoke, I noticed her body tighten. So she explained she had always felt uneasy about that tiger. It was something about his presence. It was something about how it took everything from this table. And so we realized it wasn't the story that actually disturbed her. It was the feeling it left behind. So only later did she realize why she was sharing this with me, because around the same time of her witnessing the story, I had been on group Zooms and being channeled the archetype of a tiger. And this archetype would visit my own dream state before or after I would facilitate the Awaken the Psychic Within Zoom circles. So this is no coincidence. The tiger would arrive quietly and powerfully without an explanation. And some would fear that this is perceived as giving unsolicited advice. But to me, the tiger represents the untamed self, the intuitive, instinctual power within us that cannot be domesticated. And so we cannot dull it to keep others comfortable. The part of us that knows when to arrive. So how much space is this allowed to take? One night during before Zoom, I dreamt of my son laying a tablecloth over a dining room table. Notice the tiger comes to tea. And so the table itself was already beautiful. It was complete and well designed, so it was more than enough. It didn't need the cloth to decorate it any further. And when I sat with the dream, I felt the meaning slowly landed in. The table represented inherent worth. So I often speak about bringing things to the table. I'd mentioned this to a client a day before, that she had everything to offer on this table. So the cloth represented overcompensation. Is softening the power, an attempt to make what is already enough feel more acceptable. So I understand it's a symbolic meaning that my son is carrying a quiet sense of guilt, a desire to add something extra, to balance something unspoken, to ensure no one felt lacking. And these are the narratives absorbed from our children when they observe stress. So when I returned to my client's story, the threads began to weave themselves, and she shared that she holds deep anxiety about doing things on her own. See, I'm a single mother, and it comes with its challenges. but it bears great gifts. Her family had separated when she was young, and part of her learned that standing independently came with loss. So the tiger in the story violates every rule her nervous system learned. So fascinating. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't moderate its appetite. It doesn't worry about leaving enough. It just takes. It takes what it needs. So the world does not end. That's the amazing thing. So to a child, the story is playful. To a wounded adult's nervous system, the tiger feels dangerous. And what struck me most was this. The tiger didn't steal the food. It arrived because it belonged. Feel this. After it left, the family didn't go hungry. What did they do? They went out to eat a meal. So life continued. And so around this time, I was also given readings to other clients about visibility and the importance of serving your purpose, particularly around social media and sharing their gifts with the world. And so what's so interesting is the same phrase has been coming up and coming up throughout the body of the work. And it's a phrase that says, you have so much to bring to the table. And I realized this wasn't just about tea. Oh no. It wasn't just about tables. It wasn't just about tigers. This was about permission. Permission to take up space. Permission to be seen. Permission to trust that your gifts are not too much. So many of my clients are drawn to this work, and they're drawn because they want to influence and teach or share their voice. And we all carry a quiet fear. If I take too much space, someone will leave. So this tiger arrives to dissolve that belief. This is the deeper teachings. So just have a little food for thought here. When we suppress our untamed, intuitive self, it doesn't disappear. You feel like you are safe, but this intuitive self will return through your dreams. It will return through stories, through our children. It's not to be ignored. So through the clients who sit across from us, until we are willing to welcome it consciously, reflection for integration. Sit with this gently. I want to ask you, these are the questions. Where have you learnt to decorate? I was going to say decode, to decorate your power so it feels acceptable. And then I want you to journal what parts of you have been told to take less. This is an invitation. And we could go in even further and ask what would change if you trusted that the table replenishes. The tiger already knows. When you know, you know. And when you're ready, it will come to tea. So get ready to be ready to be ready, says Abraham Hicks. It will come to tea not to take from you, but to remind you of what and who you are. So, can I remind you that there is another healing group, Psychic Zoom, for subscription members, and is going to be on Christmas Eve at 7:30, and I can't wait to see you there.